Hope you're doing well. Hope everything's going right for you, going well for you. Uh, just a shout out to everybody down there in the Carolinas and everywhere that they're dealing with this Hurricane Florence. I know there's a lot of folks from neighboring states. They're, whether they're law enforcement or EMTs or also the folks working on cutting down the trees that's fell on power lines and putting the power lines back up is just, whew. I mean, it's monotonous. I mean, it really is. But I know those folks are like working their tails off, and big shout out, big thumbs up for you all. I mean, y'all really are the heroes. Okay, so and for all of you that's going through all that hurricane, the residents there and all of that, uh, my heart and prayers go out to you, and so I hope that everybody just comes through this, with as little drama as possible. Okay, but anyway, I would like to talk to you a little bit here. I'm just going to show you a little bit here about what I'm doing. Let me get the camera turned around here, and here we go. All right, out here in the garage again, and working on the Barracuda again. This time, though, I'm going to pull the carburetor off. I'm going to do some sealing on the base of the carburetor and this adapter here. Okay, and I'm going to be working on those and making sure that they get sealed correctly like they're supposed to. I think I've got a vacuum leak there, and I need to get them fixed because it's making the car run awful. And I know this car can run really, really well. It's just got to get the correct sealing that's necessary. I'm going to turn this fan on over here because it's getting warm in here, and it's Sunday. And let me turn this camera around again here. It's Sunday, and it's getting kind of humid here. And I guess it would help if I plug this fan up first. So here we go. So yeah, I'm going to plug it up, and hopefully we'll get a little air flowing in here because it's getting a little humid. All right, I'm going to set you up right over here so you can get some look as to what I am doing. Yeah, it's not much of a look, is it? Okay. Let's see. Yeah, it's still not much. Okay. Well, we're working on this, okay? It's a work in progress. All right. Tell you what, better yet, we're just going to go over here to the car, and we're going to set you up right here on the car. Yeah. Okay. Now, just bear with me. This is live, so of course we're winging it here. Anyway, I want to talk to you a little bit while I'm doing this. I want to talk to you a little bit about gasket sealing and how to a little bit of lost technology, I guess you could call it, on a different way to dress your gaskets. Nowadays we've got a lot of different things we can use on gaskets to help them seal better. There's all kinds of silicone sealers. There's also all kinds of other kinds of sealers like Indian head and stuff like that. That is really, really exceptionally good gasket dressings, and they do a very, very good job. And however, sometimes myself, I don't like to really use silicone gasket dressing unless I have to. So if I'm looking at something that's been beat up and banged around and got uneven edges and all of this sort of stuff, I want to use something like that. And the thing is though, you don't always want to use a silicone sealer for every gasket. Now some people will, and they do a pretty good job with it. Now some folks, however, you see them and they just absolutely coat everything with the silicone. I mean, you've got silicone going everywhere. And some folks, however, they're a little bit neater and cleaner. I'd like to think I'm a little neater and cleaner with it. There's probably people out there who are much neater than I am with it. But, okay, we got the carburetor off here. And I'm going to wrap this sucker up in a towel because I don't want dirt to get in it or on it. Okay? So we're going to wrap this, so you got it all wrapped up like a baby here. So there we go. I'm going to put that aside. I'm going to show you the gaskets here, what I'm talking about. Now you see right here the gasket that I'm dealing with. We're talking about this gasket right here. This is a big thick gasket. This helps to insulate the carburetor from the heat being generated by the engine. Now that's good. We want that. But sometimes they don't seal as well as they should. Okay? I'm going to show you a neat little trick to help these seal a little bit better. Okay? I'm going to go first. I'm going to go into talking about why do we need to put any kind of dressing on this gasket at all. Okay? Let me show you why. Now, unfortunately, during the manufacturing processes, when metal is being manufactured, when metal parts or pieces are being manufactured or machined or what have you in the factories, on the mills and lathes and all sorts of other kinds of tooling, they sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes they will become uneven and not correctly, not perfectly flat like they should be. Unfortunately, this, I'm going to show you on this carburetor right here. Now, while the bottom of this carburetor, if you look at it right there, see, it looks perfectly flat, doesn't it? And you would think it would be. However, there's a problem here. Unfortunately, what we can't see, and maybe probably not even feel sometimes, is that there can be imperfections in this surface. Little dips, valleys, ridges, or even little, maybe even tiny little pop-up places, you know, little mountains, or little little place that's risen up on the seam surface. The problem is that when that happens, we have to have something to make it seal better. Now, of course, like I said earlier, you have to have something to assist to help the gasket seal better. Now, like I said earlier, I did talk about silicones, and a lot of people will use something like this. Really, really good stuff, by the way. Not a shout out to those people who made it or anything, or a endorsement to them. I'm just saying, hey, I've used it. It works great. Thank you. Okay? I'm not getting a dime for that. So, anyway, now, one bit of sealing technology, or trick, I guess you could say, is this pan here has got oil in it. Okay? Now, you might be thinking, what's the big deal? What's the big deal with oil? You don't get it, do you? Okay? What's the big deal? Well, the big deal is, what we're going to do, let's see, we're going to take a gasket like this. Now, this is a dry gasket. You can see right here in the picture. This gasket is a paper, also a paper gasket. So this trick is only really good on paper gaskets, not so much gaskets like rubber or cork or silicone or anything like that. Also, you don't want to use this on head gaskets and most all of your intake and exhaust manifold gaskets. However, paper gaskets like this, oh yeah. Now here's what we're going to do. We're just going to simply take this and we're going to just put it in the oil and let it submerge. Okay? We're just going to submerge it in the oil here. And we're going to make sure that all the surfaces get fully coated Okay? Yeah. We're going to make sure that all the surfaces get fully coated and they get submerged in the oil. Now, you can let this sit in here for hours and hours and hours and hours, and that'll work pretty good. However, the longer you let it sit in there, the more oil it's going to soak up. So just a word of caution, when you go to put this on, it may squirt a little bit of oil out, but it's not going to be excessive. It will be something that will be very easily controlled. Okay? Now, however, what about, you might be thinking to yourself, okay, I don't want to waste a quart of oil to do that. What about stuff like WD-40 or something like that? Well, here's the problem with those guys. Now, I've got some penetrating lubricant right here. The problem is, while I've just coated this with a little penetrating lubricant. While I did coat it, I wasn't able to submerge it. Now, if you look right here, you see the bubbles coming from the gasket? Right. That's air escaping out of the pockets and oil going back into those pockets to help this gasket seal better. Now, so when you do like this, like what I just did with this one, it doesn't work as well. Just a word of caution. You can do this and you will probably have some varying degrees of success, but it doesn't always work out as well as when you do like what I just did with the pan of oil. And this is just an old baking pan. Let me get you set up here. This is just an old baking pan. You can, if you can't find one in the trash, or your wife doesn't throw one away or something like that, hey, just go to the yard sale and pick one up. Flea markets, even dollar store will sell you one pretty cheap. So there you go. Also, now I told you about the oil. Now what we're going to do, when we want to use this, we're going to take it and we're going to let it drip off the excess. Okay, just let it drip off some of the excess. Let it prop it up there so it does that. But let's say you have the gasket, and the gasket has to go on a vertical surface, not a horizontal, but a vertical surface. Okay, well, I've got another little trick for you. Wheel bearing grease. I'm sorry, I apologize for the glare from the lights, but it's not much I can do about that. Okay, I'll show you what we do. So, take a little bit of grease, we just smear it on the gasket surface. Okay, now I'm only going to smear this on just a little bit of the gasket right here. Okay, alright, so now, so you got your vertical surface, okay, and you got your gasket. Now you're fixing to put it on. You put your grease on there. Let me show you what happens. Clean my fingers off here just real quick. So, here's what happens. You go to your engine, or your part where your gasket needs to be attached to. Now we're going to just attach it to this door on this little cabinet right here. But you get the picture. Okay, so, you know. So anyway, we just take it, and what do you know? Look at there. There's no glue on that door. There's no magnet on the other side. And there's no fact. Look. And the gasket is still standing. Just a neat little trick I learned a long time ago. This and the one with the oil, I learned these a long time ago when I was working with carburetors. It just helps to keep the gasket in place. Also helps to get the gasket to seal. Now, however, these little tricks do have their limitations. So when you're talking about a gasket sealing surface that's not as straight and flat as this carburetor that I showed you just a minute ago, let's say we're dealing with something that's been, well, not had the happiest life you can imagine. Let's say we're dealing with, maybe this valve cover right here. Okay? You see what I'm talking about? Alright, yeah, it's got the rocker arms and the rocker shafts in it, and it's turned upside down, so it's a little hard for you to understand what it is. But it is a valve cover, take my word for it. Now, however, valve covers are notorious for leaking. especially sheet metal valve covers like that one there. When they leak, it drives people crazy, doesn't it? So what do we need to do? Well, we need to take some time and we need to use a little silicone on there because, if you use the oil trick on there and you do have a paper gasket, that will help, but it may not solve the problem. Because those kind of valve covers, they get bent up, they get beat up, and in an earlier video I did cover a lot about how to straighten those up. And FYI, you can use those same tricks on not only valve covers, but you can also use that on any kind of those sheet metal covers like that, like valve covers, side pan covers for a lot of your inline six cylinders. Also, oil pans and automatic transmission pans. I just did that just the other day. So just a couple of little tips there you can use to help you out. Okay, help you out there and help you, make your time in the garage a little more rewarding and a little more pleasurable and not so frustrating. Because I know when you're trying to get these projects done, it's very frustrating because you want to get them done, but unfortunately, my camera's not wanting to cooperate. Anyway, unfortunately, things aren't cooperating with you. Your gasket sealing surfaces are all out of whack and everything like that. Like this one here, while it looks perfect, the sealing surfaces look perfect, they're not. So I'm going to have to go over some of them with my good old friend copper gasket sealing. So wanted to share all this with you, and I hope it does help you out. Anyway, thank you very much. God bless. Have a good one. See you later.